Good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Aruch, Yomi. I have my friend, what's your name? Shmuel? Tzvi. I always forget her name. You really are my friend. He stays here. Come, make an appearance. Tzvi helped me. He's the cameraman. He helped me organize my camera. He wants to get safer. What?
איפה אוחזים?
Tzvi Altman. Simen
Yud Beis.
Yud Beis.
Shulchan Aruch Yomi.
Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, right, of course. You heard about this, right? שמעת על זה?
ודאי.
כל העולם מדברים על זה, כן?
ודאי.
כל העולם. אתה הולך בבני ברק, אתה הולך במלבורן, אוסטרליה, אתה הולך בקנדה, אתה הולך בסאוth Africa.
Tanzania, Africa.
Tanzania? I don't know about Tanzania, but definitely if you go to Belgium, I'm talking about it.
צריך להפיץ את זה.
So, if you're in Brussels and you're watching, you're not the only one. And thanks to my new cameraman, Tzvi, who יודע איך לעשות video. He wants my sefer to be seen. Yes, I am using a sefer. It's called the Mishnah Brura, if you heard about it. They make the sefer. It's the Dirshu version of Mishnah Brura, to make sure I don't miss anything and you don't miss anything in my shir. We have a wonderful shir for you today. We're going to be talking about your tzitzis. What happened to your tzitzis? They get a break. They get torn, right? Tzvi, as a minhag, every other day, he wears tzitzis that are torn. He takes scissors and he cuts his tzitzis. He likes to cut his tzitzis. The reason Tzvi likes to cut his tzitzis, why do you like to cut your tzitzis, Tzvi? Why do you like to cut his tzitzis? Because he needs the string. If he needs the string, right? No, he needs the string because he has to lock his door at night. He has to lock his door. He doesn't have a lock in his door. So he uses the strings to help lock the door. After a couple of days, it ruins the string breaks. He buys a new pair of scissors. He cuts the scissors very small. That's why he learned Siman Yud Beis very well. Tzvi, he learns Siman Yud Beis every day because he's not sure how much string he can get when he cuts the scissors to make sure his door locks at night. Don't try to break into his house because his scissors are gonna rip. But I'm telling you, how cheap do you get your scissors for? How much do you pay for a pair of scissors? Come on, Tam Shalem, let's just see. He's able to get on the black market for 3 shekel a pair of scissors. 3 shekels. He gets the scissors for 3 shekels. That's why you rip balls. All right, thank you, Tzvi. Tzvi knows how to get cheap pair of scissors, and today we're going to find out why it's important. If you're in a situation like Tzvi and you have to cut your scissors, how much can you cut? How much can't you cut? Let's start it off. Sif Aleph. Let's say all of your strings got cut in half. Kosher. And if together all of the strings, we're going to see it doesn't mean all the strings, meaning there really is 8 strings, but the 8 strings comes from 4 big strings, which are folded over into 2, each of them, so you end up with 8. So if each one of these 4 is left with Kedei Aniva, Kedei Aniva is the amount of string that you need to make a knot, right? Because that's basically Midoraisa and Rabbi Yossi Mitzvah Tzitzis. You need to take the string from the corner and make a knot, 1 knot. If you can make a knot and that knot will stay, then your Yotzei Midoraisa, your Mitzvah Tzitzis. If there's not enough to make a knot, even if one of those strings, right, one of the 4 big strings, if it doesn't have amount left to make a knot, it's puzzle, right? So we don't really know which 2 strings are 1 string. Each one of the 8 strings is basically 4 strings folded over into 2. If two strings, right? Let's say you have the strings here. Here are your strings, right? So let's take this out. And here's your knot at the bottom. We're gonna see if it gets ripped all the way over here. 2 of your strings. Let's say 2 of these strings got ripped over here, and you don't have enough string left to make a knot in those 2. We assume it's puzzle. we're not sure if it's possible, but it might be possible. It's a suffix. Because maybe one string is broken twice, and if it's broken twice, that means that whole string, you're only left with 3 strings that are full, and one string, it's not even a good string at all. It doesn't have kedei aniva, the amount to tie it. And in order to be yotzei tzitzis, you need 4 long strings, and you only have 3 long strings. He said a minhag that when they made the knot, here in your tzitzis, right? There's 4 on one side, 4 on the other side of the knot. They're medactic which ones 4 on one side are each 4 unique strings, and their counterpart is on the other side. So therefore, you know that if 2 strings on one side of the knot broke, if 2 from one side only went down or past kedei aniva, where you still can't make it out, that would still be kosher. Right? The second head is long. It's a long string. The second head is a long string. So you only have less than kedei aniva on one of them, but the whole string, the second half of the string is there. So you go to kedei aniva. And therefore, for us, it would be okay. Now, we don't really make a siman on which are the tzitzis. Therefore, any 2 tzitzis of us, if they're missing kedei aniva, it's a suffix. You're right. Rove of the studim say that it's probably not a problem. But we're kosher that it's the same one. It's the same one of the 4. So both sides of the 4 are missing kedei aniva. It would be puzzle. Now the poskim talk about what about if it's missing kedei aniva on both sides of that string, but together whatever's left over would make kedei aniva, right? So you'd be missing, let's say, I don't know, 9/10 of the string, let's say, or whatever it was, but you would have a little bit kedei aniva. Is that good also? Or a sveiko. We're going to talk in Ian Shulchan Aruch. The sveiko, okay, right? Suffix is from 2 different strings, and even if it's from the same string, both strings that were cut off. Still, you have maybe you have together kedei aniva. Would that be okay? And also, the poskim say it's not okay. Well, Rabbeinu Tam. Now we're going to bring in another sheet, more machmir sheet. Rabbeinu Tam lo machshir el nishtayru shnei chutin shleimim. According to Rabbeinu Tam, it's only okay if you have 2 long chutim. You have to have 2 full chut, 2 whole chutim. You always have to have 2 whole chutim. And therefore, meaning you have 4 long strings, and you have to have for sure 4. I mean, according to the first sheet, basically, even if 3 strings were broken, right? So you don't have 8 strings that are yud beis gudalim. Because the share for a string is yud beis gudalim. So if to combine it in 2, right? Because each string is doubled up, so there will be 24 gudalim, approximately 56 centimeters. So that would be the shear for 56 centimeters times 4. If 3 of them were broken in half, right, it would be okay according to the first sheet, because at least you know that all of the strings have kedei aniva. But according to Rabbeinu Tam, if 3 of the strings, 3 out of these 4 strings are missing half of them, even they're missing half of them, even though for sure they all have kedei aniva, it would still be possible, because you need to have at least 2 full strings, meaning 2 of 56, 24 gudalim. Why is that? Because Rabbeinu Tam learns that the proper way of doing tzitzis is 2 of tcheles and 2 of lava, 4 strings. 2 are tcheles and 2 are lava. Nowadays we don't have tcheles, but the lava are in makom tcheles. So 2 of your lava is in makom tcheles. So if you're missing 2, that means you don't have 2. You might be missing 2 of the tcheles or 2 of the lava, which would passel it. And here he says explicitly, if you're missing 3 strings, even though all of them have kedei aniva, according to the first sheet, that would not be a problem. Here it would be a problem because you have to have 2 full strings. Now you have 3 half tzitzis that are taken off of the 8, so you don't know which ones are from which. If you knew which ones from which, so you can say maybe I'm missing 2 of them from the same one, and 1 is from a third one, so I have 2 full ones, and the other ones are kedei aniva, that would be okay. But if you don't know, You're worried that maybe each of these three strings is from three out of the four big ones, and you only have one full chud. Hilkach misveika apostle. Therefore, again, in all cases of sveika, it goes to your apostle. If only two of them are cut machrinim b'dei aniva, and as long as they have k'dei aniva, it's okay. Halacha follows the first sheet that we're makel. The post can point out that if it's efshar, meaning you have another pair of tzitzis in your drawer or something like that, you don't have to run into the store. If you have it in your drawer, you should put on another pair of tzitzis. Hagav no again Karvina Tam. Ramah says we're no Karvina Tam. The Bir Halacha, which is the post the Mishnah Berurah says that that's something really we paskin like the first shita, like Rashi, and therefore you don't have to worry about it. You can even make a bracha on it. The puzzle that's according to Rabbeinu Tam, if there are three on the same side, you know it's three different strings, then it's for sure a puzzle. Again, the Ramah is talking according to Rabbeinu Tam. The Ramah seems to say we passing right now. We don't passing it now. We passing the first sheet does. Therefore, as long as you have Kedei Aniva, even if all four strings that are missing, you know that there are four different strings. So as long as they have one whole side in Kedei Aniva on that side, or you have Kedei Aniva, let's say even 8 are missing, but you have a little bit left that you can make an Aniva, you can make a knot on all of them, that would be okay, because you have Kedei Aniva, that's good enough, Midoraisa, for Tzitzis. The Rabbanan, you'd base Gudolim, you need a longer length, but Midoraisa, all you need is Kedei Aniva. If you have strings technically long enough, if it's a middle-sized string, it would make a knot, but you have very big strings. Some people have very big strings. If they were smaller, you could make a knot. They're kosher, even if technically now you can't make a knot, because technically it's Kedei Aniva, it's enough to make a knot with a middle-sized thickness. The Ramah says we measure it with a middle-size and average-size thickness. Average-size thickness can make a knot, even though your scissors are very thick, it wouldn't make a difference. Gimel Kedei Aniva, the Rashi min hanaf. Uluriya feel nechta kol anav l'ishak Kedei Aniva elam min agadil kosher. How do you measure Kedei Aniva? It has to be able to make a knot. So on this another chumrah, Rashi says it goes from the anaf. See, this part where you have all the knots and tying and the wrapping around, that's called the gedil. This long part is called anaf. This is supposed to be 4 gudolim, 4 toes lengths. This is supposed to be 8 gudolim. Rashi says you have to have Kedei Aniva from the anaf, even from the anaf. You have to have the whole gedil there, and you have to be able to tie it on the anaf. The Re says, Bali Toso says, no, even if you have from the Gedil, it's Kedei Aniva, it's also good. The minhag goes like Rashi. Here the Mishnah Berurah says that the psak is that basically it's not just good enough, it's good enough to wear it, because it's also to wear tzitzis that have 4-cornered beged without putting on tzitzis. You're allowed to wear the beged, but you shouldn't make a bracha if you only have it from the Gedil. If you only have it from the Gedil, you should be machmer like Rashi that you have to have it from the Anaf. It doesn't really make so much sense, because the idea is that Kesher Doraisa, everyone agrees that the only thing Doraisa is Kesher Doraisa. You need to have one knot over here. And the post can point out it's not good enough. The one knot, you have to have the first knot and a second knot, because if not, you just have one knot, it's not going to stay. So you really need 2 knots. Kesher Elyon Doraisa, that's good enough. But we're machmir that Kedei Aniva also has to be from the Gedil. Midaraisa, we're solmech on the Re that you could, but it's better if you can go to the store even to get another pair of tzitzis. Should get another pair of tzitzis and be machmir like Rashi Shita. It should be from the Anaf. It should be from the straight part of the tzitzis. They talk about, the post can talk about a problem of tassel and also. Let's say you find yourself that it's ripped, your tzitzis are ripped, and you only have Kedei Aniva left. You have to go ahead and untie this part and toll it and put them in the hole again anew. To put them in the hole, the tzitzis again anew, because it's called tassel and asoy, because part of the Aniva is supposed to be straight tzitzis, straight strings kicking out. So the consensus among the poskim is that the Bir Halacha seems to say that you really should go ahead and untie the tzitzis take them off and untie the tzitzis, that's the best thing to do, and then redo them and have most of the part being straight tzitzis and a little bit being the knot. And that would be the consensus among the poskim. Stay tuned for Ian Shulchan Aruch. We'll talk more about Sveika. Not going to want to miss it. But, yeah.